Hello, this is the Pastor Chef, and I'd like to welcome you back to my channel, Food, Fellowship, and Faith. If you like my content, be sure to like this video and subscribe, and click the bell for notifications. Today we're going to compare two methods of cooking eggs, the regular traditional method of hard boiling or the new trendy method of sous vide. Which one's better? Well, let's take a look and find out. I first began with the traditional method of placing 6 eggs in a boiler pan, filled about halfway with water, and turned my stove to high heat. I heard an old trick: if you place baking soda in the water or vinegar, it makes the peeling process easier. I don't think that worked in my case. I'll show you a little bit later in the video. I let the eggs simmer all the way up to a roaring boil, and then I let them boil for about 10 minutes. After I had boiled them for 10 minutes, I immediately placed them into some iced water. I'm not real sure the reasoning, but I'm guessing it's because you want to stop the cooking process with the eggs and not overcook them. It may be where those pesky green eggs come from when you boil them. Then you have to devil them all to conceal the greenness. Anyway, I let them cool in the ice water for about 10 to 15 minutes. Next, I pulled out my faithful sous vide machine, which I use quite often. When I'm cooking a steak or some pork chops or even chicken breast, I get near perfect results every time I cook with it. If you don't own one and you're craving a good steakhouse steak, get a sous vide machine and make a better one at home. The recommended setting of 170 degrees, or what the internet said anyway, for exactly 1 hour. I will note it took about 20 minutes to warm the water to 170. Then I placed the eggs gently into the water bath, and they're now slowly going to be massaged with the hot water.
1 hour later.
This next section I'm almost embarrassed to show you because this is where my culinary mastery fails at peeling an egg. I left it in because this is real life. I began with a hard-boiled egg. As I began to peel, I noticed the shell was sticking to the egg, and I pulled quite a bit of the egg bits off. I thought the baking soda might loosen the shell from the egg, but boy, was I wrong. If you'd like to leave a comment or how to peel an egg better, feel free to let me know. This is a learning channel, not a know-it-all channel. As you can see, I struggled peeling the egg and it turned to a monster, formerly known as the egg. Anyway, now that I have quote-unquote peeled the egg, it's time to rinse off all the jiggly bits of the shell from the egg and cut it to see how it looks. When I cut into the hard-boiled egg, I noticed the center had a dark orange look to it. It had more of a sponge-like consistency. It was completely done. It was not runny or anything. I next took the sous vide egg, and even though I was out of the frame just a little bit, I had the same results in the peeling process. I totally butchered the egg once more as I peeled it. I didn't see any real difference as I peeled this one from when I peeled the hard-boiled egg. My only thought is that perhaps I didn't let the eggs cool long enough. So anyhow, I finally got the sous vide eggs peeled. After washing off the egg, I took my knife and cut the sous vide egg, and to my surprise, the center was completely different. It had a bright yellow center, and it had a very smooth and buttery type texture. As far as inward appearances, the sous vide egg looked more appealing. Now, I tried different methods of peeling the eggs, like the Russian roll.
Nope.
Or trying the tap-tap-tappy with my knife.
Nope.
It wasn't until finally I cracked one hard-boiled egg only on one side, and only one side, and I began to peel. It finally was beginning to come off without me tearing the egg into pieces, and I produced a fairly smooth egg. I was so proud of that egg. Now I'm going to spare you the rest of the eggs I peeled because they're all pretty much the same way when I began to peel them. But thankfully, this is not a video on how to peel eggs. It's a question on which one is better. Okay, here's my final verdict, and I'm going to break it down in about 3 parts. The first part will be preparation. If you look at the comparison between a hard-boiled egg and a sous vide egg, you're looking at 10 to 15 minutes of cook time for a hard-boiled egg, and you're looking at about 10 to 15 minutes of cool down time in the ice water. So in about 30 minutes, you could have hard-boiled eggs that you'll be able to eat. Now, on the other hand, the sous vide take about 20 minutes to heat the water to 170 degrees. Then after you've heated the water for 20 minutes, you have to wait another hour to cook it. Then after you've cooked it for an hour, you have 10 to 15 minutes of cool down time in the ice bath. So you're looking at about an hour and 35 minutes of preparation time for a sous vide egg. That's to take into consideration, because if time is a factor here, there's really no comparison between the two. Now, the second section that we'll be talking about is the peeling. Which one was easier to peel? Frankly, neither one. I can't really give a good estimate of which one peeled better. I only got one out of the entire dozen eggs that I had cooked was one, and it was the hard-boiled egg, but that's not an indicator that one was better than the other, so we'll have to move on to the next section with this. Now, the last section we'll be covering is texture and taste. Now, one of the things about the textures that I noticed in the hard-boiled, it had an orange, spongy type texture in the middle, and the sous vide had a yellow, creamy-like texture. It's mainly your preference right here. So what I did was I had my wife do a blind taste test. I put both the sous vide and the hard-boiled eggs in a bowl, and I had her eat them. And she noticed right off the bat when she ate the sous vide egg, it was very creamy, it was very buttery. But then on the other hand, the hard-boiled had more of a spongy type texture. And in her preference, she preferred the sous vide egg because, one, it looked more appealing, and then two, it had a creamy-like texture. So it just comes down to preference, basically, on what you would like. But they both tasted pretty much the same. It just had a different consistency. So if you're in a rush and you really need to get some hard-boiled eggs done quickly, hard-boil them like you normally do. But if you want more of a presentation like from the inside, use a sous vide type. And if you like that buttery rich texture, use a sous vide egg. So which one? Well, it depends. But I hope that as you look at these and try both of them out, see which one you like the best. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments about this experiment that I did with these two different types of cooked eggs, leave a comment below. Talk about food, fellowship, and faith. May God bless you.